Hi everyone, welcome back to your own YouTube channel Infinite Iteration. I hope you guys are learning something valuable from my videos with each videos that I post daily. So if you guys get benefited from my videos, then I humbly request you to please like my video, subscribe to my channel and comment on my videos. Either good comment or bad comment, just provide a feedback so it will help me improve and make better videos for you, because I will only bring that highly paid courses in the market free for you. I promise that I will bring all the latest tools and technologies that is happening in the world today, like AI, machine learning, DevOps, cybersecurity, data engineering, data analytics, you name it, everything. I will bring it for you because I have learned all these tools and technologies over the years. I'm a computer science graduate. I'm a master's. I have a master's in computer science. Okay, that's a brief introduction about myself. Now let's discuss about today's topic, which is going to be about system calls. So what is system call? Is a system call, think of it as a request. Like we have web request, like client requests something and server provides it. So system call is also a request. Like user, we have a program in user mode, and to request a service from the operating system kernel in kernel mode, we use system call. It acts as an interface between the user application and OS kernel, enabling user level process to access low level hardware resources in a controlled and secure manner. In short, user program, first we have user program, then it generates a system call. System call goes to the kernel and kernel access the hardware. So it is a complete life cycle of a system call. So system call kernel, like suppose kernel runs in the background and contains these requests. As I told you, system call is a request. These requests invoke the kernel so that users defined or desired operations are performed. Not everybody can access the kernel data because it has some protection rings. We will discuss further in our next videos about process protection rings and different layers of protection rings. Like we have ring 1, level 1 security, level 2 security. It deals with the privileges. So any application running other than the kernel runs on a user space, and user usually deals with the lowest level of the kernel. And we have different protection and layers. So user lies on the lowest level of the kernel. As you can see from the schematic, we have hardware. Now let's start with the top to bottom. First we have an application. An application generates system call to access the kernel, and then kernel can only access the hardware. So as you can see, it is a secure way to deal with the hardware of a system. Why system calls are needed? Because in modern operating system we have two modes, as I told you before in my videos. We have user mode, kernel mode, and user level thread, kernel level thread. We will discuss further about these things. And so it has a privileged access, like between user mode and kernel mode. Like switching between user mode to kernel mode, we have different privileges, we have different security. So user program cannot access directly the hardware for security and stability, and system call provide a control gateway for program to request OS services. Think of it as when you run a program that opens a file, that program uses a system call to tell the kernel to handle file access. So here's a brief schematic of system call types and their application. We have process control system call, fork, execute, create process. Different types of system call in process control. We have file management, open, read, write, privileges, device management, information maintenance, and communication system calls. So why process management in system call? Because if a program wants to deal with resources that it has, it involves dealing with the process scheduler or even the hardware. Therefore a system call is also used to handle these things. And for the communication as well, system call is necessary, like creating and closing connection with a remote server or device, send and receive data, connecting to a network. File system and IO operation, like we have different files, and in order to read or write onto it, we need to generate system calls. We need some access to read and write on the files. like copying files, renaming it, deleting it, reading or writing, applying and modifying file permissions, or even changing some extensions of file as well. Why system calls are important? Because they provide you security, because you cannot access the kernel without system call, or hardware without system call. It provides abstraction layer. It is for resource management and portability. Working of a system call. We have 4 different steps of working of a system call. A program issues a system call. The request goes through the system call interface of the OS. The system call switches the CPU from user mode to the kernel mode. The kernel then executes the required function of what you desired, like what is desired by the user. So here's a system call cycle. First we have user program request, then mode switching, then validation of a system call, then it goes to execution, and then return to the user mode. So it is a complete life cycle of a system call. How a system call works in detail? First, as I told you before, application request a service and then generate a software interrupt. Like the library function execute a special trap or system call instruction which signals the CPU to switch from the user mode to kernel mode. Like it allows you to switch from user mode to kernel mode once you generate a system call. Then kernel takes over your system and execute the service, and then finally return back to the user after the proper execution of the system call. Advantages of system call, as I told you before, it adds better security, it provides secure access, abstraction layer, abstract hardware complexities, ensure resource sharing, and allow portability. Disadvantages, we have some disadvantages as well, like everything has some trade-offs, so system call has two. So first one is that it has slower than direct access because we have different layers. So in order to reach the kernel mode from the user mode, we have different layers and it takes some time, and it can cause some overhead. Why overhead? Because if you have too many system calls, then it will generate some overhead, and a poorly implemented system may lead to security vulnerabilities. So here's a small self test for you. Like if I open a PowerPoint file now, what sequence of events will take place in the background? So pause this video now and answer this question. I hope you guys answered it correctly. Is there any difference between an API and system call? Yes. System call is a low level interface between a user program and operating system. It is a kind of thing for operating system only and kernel thing. So like think of it as a direct request from program to OS kernel, and it has different functions like reading, writing, fork, open, close. And what is an API? API is basically an application programming interface. We discussed this concept in web development. You can also learn free full stack web development course in my YouTube channel. It is free for you guys. I will teach you from from beginner level to advanced, even TypeScript, DevOps, and everything, you name it. I will teach you. I will make you a expert full stack developer so you can get hired and get some good package like in terms of money. So in order to learn it, so please subscribe to my channel and access the playlist in my channel of full stack web development. So let's come back to the topic. Is there a difference between API and system call? Yes. API is basically application programming interface. It is a concept where developer build application, like we have set of function, libraries or protocol, and APIs generally deals with the request between them, like we want to access some third party software. So in order to do that, like I want to incorporate some OpenAI API key in my web development project, in my AI project. So in order to access that, we need API. So API deals with like in terms of web development or software development thing, and while system call is a purely OS and user mode and kernel mode thing. So this is a difference between the two. Think of it about API as convenient functions for programmers that may rely on system calls. So API always rely on system calls. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new today, and if you learned something new or valuable, then please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and give some feedback. Thank you so much guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.